lived both on and off campus in a mixture of different places. And from the get-go, I mean, everything is brick, and there's the extremely ancient part of campus, and then there were some newer buildings, and I was placed in a hall called DuPont, which was known as like the castle on the hill. It was located on a newer part of the campus, more towards like the sciences and the library side, more in like the first year area. And then we had like the fraternity units that were over on one side. We were close to the all-you-can-eat cafeteria, and one of the furthest places you can go from the Colonial Williamsburg, like the Duke of Gloucester Street or Dog Street in the Wren building. Second year I lived off campus for a semester, and this is when you can start to tell the interaction between the Colonial Williamsburg aspect and the college itself, because you can walk from one to the other and not know where the line divides, which is really neat, because Colonial Williamsburg itself was just the escape. It was my favorite place to go on like a walk or a bike ride. You see Colonial people dressed up going to the grocery store. Our William & Mary IDs actually got us into all of the activities. So we can go and, grand illumination in every December with the fireworks, and we get to see. In fact, during orientation, they take every single incoming student into the Colonial Williamsburg, and then like the fife and drum corps there, and you just get to experience and get to be integrated right from the get-go. So it's very much just a separate part of campus.
I think for me, one of the reasons I really love our campus is because I remember taking classes here in graduate school and being like, I am studying higher ed at the place where it all began. Which I still feel like sometimes I'm walking across like the Second Garden and I think to myself, I mean, not actually true, but I'm like, oh, think of all the presidents that worked here and they did the same thing and they walked across this campus and they studied higher education and learning and all these educational, just feels very academic when you just walk across campus, which is really cool. So a lot of people like thought about going to William & Mary when they came to visit when they were in elementary school, so there is like this like interesting progression of like, I just always knew William & Mary was type thing, especially for Virginia residents.
Exactly. Yeah.
But we actually just had this whole, because I think so with that I think comes, because of the closeness to the Colonial Williamsburg and all that stuff, comes like this whole idea of like, we are the College of William & Mary and we have so much tradition, and we were chartered by the King and the Queen, and we're a college, and so I think that does hurt us in terms of when international students hear the word college, don't think about, like, they're like, wait, college is like what I did in high school, like that's their high school equivalent. So we've been internationally trying to refer to ourselves as a university, which is not really that homey brick building feel always. And then a lot of people think that we're stuck in tradition, and that like, how do you blend the past with showing that you're still a progressive campus and that you have to like that you are very technologically advanced? Like how do you, because I actually said in an admissions info session, one of the parents asked like, what do you do that's progressive? And that's something I think image wise we really struggle with. How do we continue to brand ourselves to show that we are, yes, we have this awesome, because we don't want to forget that we, like, so many U.S. presidents went here.
Exactly, yeah.
This is where education began, or whatever, sort of. We don't want to lose that, but how do you balance that with, we are still making strides, and, we have a great business school, and we're making, like, we're one of the forerunners for, whatever it is. How do we advertise that with also saying, but we love tradition, Right. We were innovative at the time then, so we can still be innovative now. Like, all great things have to start with something. So how do you continue to say, like, we are still great and we are still creating?
Yeah.
We're not just living in the past, we are creating as well.
Yeah.
I think that we have a really great, really strong, it's a different community. Like I actually just had a conversation with a student the other day. We don't have like the sports, and the people don't run around in their William & Mary sweatshirts and all their swag from William & Mary. It's like it's a deeper pride and the community. The students here are very individual. Like I think they pride themselves on their individuality and their independence, and so they have that passion and pride for William & Mary. But it's just not. Yeah. It's more of it's like we don't need to talk about it. It's inside. It's inside of us.
When I first started at W&M, we could only play day games. Like, I'm pretty sure I was the only male not on the football team. there were so many, and they were, I mean, of course, much like most student athletes, they kind of have that celeb status, which is, everywhere you're going to find that. And football was a thing for those diehards, and you'd see a lot of the alumni coming back for the games, but it was such that if you're scrambling, you're never scrambling to get a ticket because we didn't need one to get in. We could come and go as we pleased, and that kind of gave a very nonchalant attitude for that. And so I did see a lot of tribe pride. And in the clothing choices too, but not all the time. I mean, because Tech, much like other institutions where they're big in football, you don't have to go here to wear your Hokie stuff. I can go to the Walmart in Roanoke, and that's all that's going to be there. I can do that, and you'll see UVA stuff there. You will never see William & Mary things at any of the convenience stores outside of Williamsburg. And so when we did wear things, it was very much from a sense of pride. But it was definitely a small school. You'd see the same people walking to classes around campus, like, oh, there's like that guy with the big hair all the time, or like kid in the dining hall that you see during the same schedule, or a person on the third floor of your res hall that was never wearing a shirt or something like that. You'd see everybody around. When you do find out your building, where you are, where your classes are, that tends to be your core group, and then you have to actively work to like find out what else you're going to get involved in to make that happen. All-time favorite thing, and this is kind of a two-parter because it starts your freshman year and ends your senior year. So when you enter and you go through your commencement ceremonies, or your convocation ceremonies, as a first-year student, you go to the Wren building, and the big doors are open, and you sit and you hear the president speak, and you hear the choir and everything, and all that happens, and you hear from the chancellor, and you're just welcome to the school. Student body president is there, the whole shebang. And then you get your button, like your class of 09 button. Your entire class with you walks through the doors of the Wren building, out the other side, where it's probably not the entire rest of the student body, but there is a lot that you would never know that it wasn't. Cheering you on, clapping, giving you high fives, and welcoming every single person in there. It's awesome. Absolutely amazing. And then for me, getting to walk through that, and as a senior, you put in your cap and gown, and when you're graduating, you actually walk through the other doors and kind of close the gap. And I think for like ceremony and tradition on a more like academic and school focus, like that one by far is amazing.
One of my favorite stories about the college is that so we're doing this whole no title needed campaign. So we're trying to find stories about students, people who went to Mary who did great things, but they didn't have to have a title to do it. So sort of embrace the idea of like, you don't have to be the president, you don't have to be the vice president to get things done.
Yeah.
The leadership is caring about something like and progress and pushing it forward, making change in the one thing you care about the most.
Even though it doesn't have a title.
Right.
Cool.
So like, even if like you're a PTA mom, and when you leave here but you love being a PTA mom, great. Like,
there you go.
That's awesome. Like, that's leadership, that's passion, that's how you change the world one step at a time, sort of thing. So we found there's a story about Benjamin Ewell, who was like the 9th president of the college or something, and he, during the 19th century, when the college was closed because of the war, he woke up every day, came to the buildings, checked all the buildings, rang the bell, because when college is in session, you ring the bell. So he rang the bell even when
it was closed,
even when the college was no one here, because he didn't want the college to close,
die.
So right,
per se.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's like, to me, one of those cool, like, we lived throughout time, sort of thing. And so every year the seniors, when they graduate, they get to go up to the Wren bell and ring the bell. Go up to the Wren and ring the bell.
Okay, I've heard of that tradition.
Yeah.
And I've seen pictures and stuff like that. But tying it, that makes sense.
Right.
That's cool.
My favorite thing to do in Williamsburg is go for a run. I think that's really. I think if I lived anywhere else, I would never would have started running. But because I could go and like run like through campus, down CW, and like feel a part of like this like history and this community, like watching CW wake up in the modern day times is kind of funny to me. Like, I'm always like, that's how they get rid of the horse manure, and that's how like just
peeking behind the curtain.
Right, exactly. And And like when they put up the Christmas decorations, it's like we're decorating for Christmas. Like it's just a very interesting. So I like that's my favorite to do, which
That
obviously
is cool.
that's not for everyone, but I just think it's cool to walk around and see like you see all these interpreters in their colonial garb. Like you go to Food Lion and they're in the store. You know, I think that's
yeah,
my
I guess
favorite.
you don't really think about
Right.
that.
Or you see them driving, but like they were just on a buggy with a horse. You know, that's what I love most about Williamsburg. It's just so funny to me.
We had a lot of firsts, and it's really cool to say like I was the first at something, or even the second at something. I mean, the second institution in the United States. Awesome. Can't really say that about many other places. I think just it sticks true to the roots, and you know that so many great people have come before you. And how am I going to live up to that image too? You know that everybody is there for a reason, and that you're going to connect with everyone there. I mean, it's small that people are going to get on your nerves, but it's not small enough that you have to see them every day. And it gives you the autonomy to do that. I mean, they're not always there to hold your hand. Like, you need to find your own way there, and it's because it's a challenge too. Like, you feel challenged, and that's a good thing, and I liked that. I wanted to go somewhere that's going to be challenging for me. I wanted to go somewhere that I know that I'm going to feel connected to, and that has a good reputation. I see the image that those before me have gone and kind of built this thing, and now I can say I am a part of that. Like, I can help do that too. And I like that, paying it forward.